The Pet's Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.
And a very good morning to you all. You can text or WhatsApp us if you'd like to contribute to the programme this morning, and for the next 20 minutes if you want to contribute to our slot regarding our doggies and our cats and the rest of our animals around the house. It's 0833 97 97 via WhatsApp, or text us. Now there's some questions already beginning to come in, but we'll get to those in just a few moments. First of all, very good morning, Des Groom.
Yeah, hi John, great to be here. Good morning to you.
I'm grand. I tell you one thing, the weather is very, very mixed.
Very mixed. Yesterday was quite cold.
Yeah.
This morning is dull and overcast but warm again. I should say early June, I suppose. Yeah. The farmers will be hoping for better weather. They'll want to make hay soon.
Literally, make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah. So fingers crossed they'll get a dry spell for it, yeah. Because when we had the dry spell in May, the local farmers told me it was too early.
Yeah.
For to really capitalise on it.
Did they say that? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they made great silage and everything else like that, but it was a little bit too early. That heat wave wouldn't have been good for potato growing.
Yes.
And definitely too early to make hay.
Yes.
And so we need a bit of good weather now.
Proof in the pudding regarding the silage smells going around. Yes, I could definitely...
there was a lot of that.
There's a lot of that going around as well.
Yeah.
You were off last week, but you weren't on holidays or anything. You were off working weekend away, or working week away, was it?
Yeah, I went to an animal nutrition conference in a big pet food research centre called GA Pet Foods, which is near Liverpool. And I do some food trials for them. I work closely with them in recent years. And the science diets, which are the more advanced pet foods, we trial them at Kildare Vet Surgery. Basically one new recipe every summer for them. So I was presenting about the recent trials we had done on the dental care diet, and I was giving a report about last spring's food trial, which was the digestive care diet. So this is a new range called Peptide Plus.
Okay. I'm
selling it under the Gym Dog label, and I have exclusivity for these science recipes here in Ireland. But as I say, they've been pioneered, they've been researched in the GA Pet Food Centre in Liverpool.
Is it predominantly the way things are going within the industry now? So
the industry is moving towards what they call premiumisation. So the realisation that better nutrition leads to better quality of life and better health for pets. So all the new pet foods now are really premiumised. There's a lot of science going into the ingredients. When you walk around these factories, you can see chicken breasts going in and fish fillets, and you're literally looking at human grade food going into these premium pet food diets.
And what did they add to that to make it cat friendly as a different to dog friendly?
Well, cats would have a higher fat content, and they add extra salmon oil, extra fish oils, extra turkey and chicken oils, these kind of things to the cat foods to bump up the ingredients to give cats the extra content they need.
Right. That's very interesting. Yeah. Because you were saying last week that cats are predominantly carnivores.
They are. So they wouldn't be putting sweet potato or rice, brown rice, white rice, etc. into the cat food diets. The modern dog diets now contain a great range of ingredients. You could see peas, carrots, broccoli, berries, cranberries, all kinds of things going into dog food, along with sweet potato, brown rice, to give a good nutritional mix.
And do dogs, as a rule, like vegetables?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
They will. They will actually eat it, providing there's a carnivore, a meat element to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're omnivores. Dogs are omnivores.
I know my father-in-law's dog, the late Max, as his name was, at the time, used to eat every vegetable under the sun except peas. He'd actually spit the peas out.
That's funny. Yeah, and they have little preferences. People would say their dogs love strawberry or love banana or love broccoli, whatever it is. It's variable. Yeah.
I mean that the health benefits of something like that within dog food must be great.
The health benefits are immense. Yeah. That's, as I say, why they're premiumising these diets, and they're cooking the diets now. It's not processed. The old rendering system was you just fired everything into a vat and processed it, but ground it down and processed it. But now they're cooking these diets. There's a new process of cooking these diets to make them hypoallergenic, and it's called hydrolysis. Now, hydrolysis means you cook them very, very slowly at a low temperature. You bring them up to 81 degrees only for a few minutes, and then back down to a lower temperature again, and then add a natural enzyme which breaks down the protein into smaller bites, into smaller little molecules called peptides, and these peptides are hypoallergenic. So that's where the name of this science range comes from. It's called the Peptide Plus range because a peptide is a very small protein that's more easily digestible, more easily absorbed by the animal's body, and causes no allergic reactions. It's hypoallergenic because the protein molecule is so small.
Why did you want to get involved with this then?
Well, I've always believed in the link between nutrition and health. Good behaviour in dogs depends on good nutrition. Overall good health and quality of life depends on good nutrition. I grew up on a farm, and all the various species that my father reared and raced over the years, we always saw the better they were fed, the better they performed, and the better their quality of life was. So I understood that link between nutrition and health from a very early age, and I brought that line of thinking into my work as a pet vet. And I always wanted, it was my ambition to produce a range of pet food that would reflect that.
And as it progresses, as we learn more, will more of these be on the mainstream shelves?
Yeah. That Peptide Plus recipe is available in a couple of the leading pet food
in the UK or Ireland?
In the UK.
Okay.
In the UK. I have exclusivity at the moment on that science diet.
Right, okay.
That peptide diet. They're calling it the peptide diet, as I say, because of these very small molecules, and it's a science diet. So it's hypoallergenic.
Are they aiming these diets towards certain breeds, or are they aiming them towards just your general household dog?
They're aiming them towards the general household dog and the more discerning pet owner.
Right, okay.
Who is prepared to invest early in that level of quality for their pet's quality of life.
Right.
Yeah.
And the research that was done on this, I presume, is showing dividends now at this stage.
Yeah, showing dividends at this stage. I trialled the weight and joint care diet last year on 60 dogs in my practice, and they all lost weight and moved better at the end of the 3 months on the joint care diet. I also trialled a weight care diet, a weight loss diet, and I targeted that at obese dogs, 30 obese dogs, and they all lost weight. And some of them that were on medication were able to come off their medication when they lost the weight.
It's a bit like humans, really.
It is. Yeah. It is. So dogs that are too heavy, if they lose a few of the excess kilos, they're even able to come off their medication.
That's brilliant.
At the moment, there are 3 of these peptide science recipes. There's skin care for dogs with allergic skin disease. There's joint care for dogs with arthritis and too much weight on them. And there's digestive care for gastric and tummy cases.
It's a whole new way of thinking regarding vet care, regarding the way vets are, I suppose, teaching themselves and learning the way it should be done, because if it creates the longevity for the animals, it's a plus, isn't it? It's a
plus. See, in recent years, you find a lot of the big veterinary chains, the corporates, they have strategic partnerships with Royal Canin. And Royal Canin were the first company to really bring this, sort of laboratory-focused nutrition into mainstream. They're selling their products, their science diets, through the vets. But what's happening now with Royal Canin, the price is very high, the price point is very high, and this range now that GA are producing, it's coming in with the same science, the same research behind it, and at a more accessible price point, so that people will be incentivised to give it to the average pet and not just to wait until the pet is sick and you have to give it.
Okay, what else did you get up to when you were away?
I brought the van and I brought the bike, and I got out on the bike and I did a bit of exploring around the forests and beaches of kind of North Liverpool, Southport area for 3 evenings while I was there. And on the way back, I wasn't getting the boat back until the evening of the 3rd day. Yeah. So I spent a half day in Chester Zoo.
Okay, yeah. I was there when I was about 12 or 13 many years ago. Is that the one you drive through, is it? No. It wasn't Chester, obviously.
No. So there's a place down near Bristol, and I'll think of the name of it in a minute, and it's a zoo that you can drive through.
Right, okay.
And it's in one of these big stately homes, country estates.
Yeah, that's...
And there's a Centre Parks beside it.
Yeah,
that one near Bristol, between Bristol and Bath.
Yeah, that sounds
familiar. So it is, that one. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Chester Zoo is a conventional zoo, but it's large and spacious. It'll take you the whole day to walk around it. It's about the size of Dublin Zoo.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
it's about that size.
Yeah, okay.
It looks to be about that size. Like there's an African Plains area, about the size of the African Plains area in Dublin, and they have a few different species in Chester that they don't have in Dublin. So all of these zoos over the years, of course, you find some species do well in certain places. So they have lions in Chester where we don't have lions in Dublin. Another species I saw there that we don't have in Dublin, the largest lizard reptile in the world, the Komodo dragon. The males are 3 metres long.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so they come from the Galapagos Islands, these islands where Charles Darwin 200 years ago did all of his research and his exploration. And these Komodo dragons can live to 30 years of age. They're solitary, they're very aggressive, they have a venomous bite, they're carnivores, and as I say, the males are 3 metres long. So it was just to get close up and see one of those was a bit of a thrill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff indeed.
They have rhinos there. They have elephants there. There's a close link between the elephants in Chester Zoo and the elephants in Dublin Zoo, actually. They have transferred populations of elephants backwards and forwards between Chester and Dublin. There's the nearest zoos to each other, I think, you know.
But they're fabulous day out. I was out and go to the zoo a couple of times a year, and it's really, really good fun.
Yeah. It's really good fun.
It's highly recommended.
I really enjoyed the day.
Yeah.
Now, you know the way they have this lovely kind of a dome that you can walk into, and you have like a lake and a water area, and they have flamingos and all these water birds. Well, Chester has the same and has a similar area, one of these walk-in areas where you're in a controlled environment and there's a lake, and they have hundreds of these flamingos and other types of water ducks there. Interesting to see, get close up to them.
Right, yeah.
Beautiful salmon-coloured flamingos.
Yeah, they're fabulous birds as well, yeah.
So beautiful birds there. Unusual reptiles there. They have a lovely chimp section as well on an island.
Right.
Again, similar to Dublin.
Yeah.
And a big couple of families of chimps. Yeah. They had a chimp there called Boris, and there's a story, and they have a statue to him, right? And the story about Boris is, Boris was sold by poachers as a baby.
Right.
There's an awful illegal pet chimp trade.
Still is.
Terrible pity. So he luckily he was bought as a pet baby chimp by a person with good intentions, and they brought him as an infant to the zoo and donated him to Chester Zoo, and he lived his life there, and he died recently, aged 60 something.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have a kind of an old age pension area in the chimp area where there are 2 or 3 very old kind of retired chimps that just stay in all day and chill out amongst themselves, and then they have the island with all the swings and all the trees for the youngsters.
Right.
When I was there was a kind of a row going on between the teenagers and the young mothers. Yeah. And it was chaos. It was a commotion to watch. It'd be like if a bunch of teenagers kind of invaded a coffee morning of young mothers. That was what it was like. You could see all the 20-something and 30-something young mothers with their infants, you see, with their babies, giving out to the teenagers and running up to them and slapping them on the head. Right. And the teenagers were throwing stuff at them and running away again.
Brilliant. But I'd say that's a video moment in itself, and the old phones.
I got a bit of it. I didn't get the full impact of the row I'd like to have had. But how human-like the chimps were, it was funny and interesting to watch.
How would you compare it to Dublin Zoo? Chester.
Dublin Zoo is much better value.
Right.
And overall there's more to see and do in Dublin Zoo. Dublin Zoo is a slightly better day out. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a terrific day.
So I really recommend everybody to visit Dublin Zoo regularly because it's great fun and it's reasonably good value. Just to put it in perspective, guess how much I was charged, a single adult, I was on my own, to go into Chester Zoo?
25 quid.
It was £43.
So that's like the gut sterling, 50 or 60.
It was like 50 euros.
50 euro.
For an adult to get into Chester Zoo. So I think Dublin Zoo must be good value in comparison.
Must be, yeah, because you can get family stuff in Dublin Zoo as well. Yeah, and of course, if you're a zoo member, you can actually have the option of using your zoo pass down in Fota or in Dublin.
And Fota's good too. I was in Fota a couple of years ago, and they have lovely giraffes in Fota. And they have these red pandas in Fota. Yeah. Saw them a couple of years ago. And there's a picnic area in Fota where they have wallabies and small kangaroos bouncing around and begging for food. Yeah. Which is a bit... It's exciting and disconcerting, unnerving at the same time, to have a kangaroo beside you trying to steal you or trying to pinch your sandwich. Yeah. My daughter was actually saying to me that when she did photo, she did it kind of in the off-season. Right. And all the animals were up close and personal. Ah, good. You know, they were really kind of out there, and they weren't. It was just there wasn't big numbers going through it, and it was fantastic fun. Yeah, they're both worth a visit. There's less in Fota. There's loads in Dublin Zoo. As I say, Dublin Zoo don't have lions, but they have other large cats there in Dublin. It just depends. Yeah. Do you ever do the? I did the zoos over in the likes of France, and the locations like that. They're marvellously set up. They really are super stuff indeed. Oh, years ago I went to a zoo in Paris. Yes, I was a student and I had a summer job. Yeah. A couple of summers. in northern France near Paris, and I visited the zoo in Paris, and at the time I was disappointed with it. It was a bit small, a bit cramped.
Okay.
It wouldn't have been as nice as Dublin at all.
Okay, well done.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Good to catch up. Now we want to go through some questions there. Have any more bits you want to add? Anything else you want to say?
No, I'll chat about the dog food thing again.
Yeah.
We'll give you more about that.
We'll get more about that in detail. Right, some questions coming in. First of all, Bernie was on. She has a Jack Russell. She is 4 years old. She keeps eating her paws and scratching for the last couple of months or so. Gave her some worm tablets. Didn't seem to do the trick. Still doing a little bit of scratching. Don't know why. But it's constant without being consistent.
Yeah, she'll have to visit the vet there, Bernie. Yeah, you'll have to bring your little Jack Russell to the vet. That's probably a grass allergy or a grass mites allergy or some other environmental factor like pollen. But definitely you have an allergic reaction there. It's a dermatitis, it's allergic, it's probably environmental. If it's going on 2 months, I'd say it's seasonal, therefore it's environmental. If it was going on 6 months, I'd say it's food. Yeah. But the clue is always in when did these allergies start, and figure out why and what season is it. So I think that's a seasonal allergic dermatitis, probably environmental, and you do need to visit the vets. That won't go away by itself without bit of medical help.
Okay, that makes sense as well. I've seen a couple of those questions before. I was scanning through some of those.
The skin thing is a big
It is.
problem.
With Jack Russell's, it seems to come up a good bit. I see just see a separate post very similar to it.
Little white paws and the short hair and the sensitive skin.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move to the next question. Could you ask Des, what age can you get a male Belgian Shepherd neutered? What's a male Belgian Shepherd?
Yeah, Belgian Shepherd. The other name for them, they call them Malinois.
Okay, describe them.
Yeah, they're the size of a German Shepherd. They're genetically very similar to a German Shepherd. They're black and tan. They have a black muzzle and black points and a tan body.
What?
They're very athletic, very fit dogs. They've been developed primarily as a police dog.
Right.
And a bit of a fun fact, the Belgian Malinois, the Belgian Shepherds, they're the dogs that the US Marines use on the tanks when they go to war. They've been to Afghanistan, they've been to Iraq, they've been on armoured carriers in every war zone in the world in recent years. And it's Belgian Malinois that were sent into the house before Osama bin Laden was killed.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a very hardcore breed. Not to be recommended as a common pet. They need to be in the hands of a very active person who's an experienced dog handler, because they can be aggressive, they can be difficult if they're not adequately trained and adequately stimulated.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, very good. Right, question in from Melanie. Hello, Melanie, out in Kilcock. She says, we have a kitten. He's almost a year old now more like a young cat. Has been fine from the start, always in great form. However, recently we developed a bald spot behind her leg, seemingly out of nowhere. It's like completely bald. Any ideas what it could be?
It's more than likely a bite.
Okay, so that's what it is. If she's still in good form, obviously.
Still in good form and not lame on it, not sore on it. I would get it checked out. The commonest reason for a patch of hair loss like that, as I say, is a bit of a cat fight and one cat biting another. Okay.
Yeah.
You've other things there to worry about, like ringworm. You've heard of that? Ringworm is a skin infection. Yes, we've been talking about that before. It's a type of a skin infection they can get. Yeah. But any hair loss like that, any patch of hair loss, that's a reason for a vet visit.
Okay, that makes sense as well. And I think it's that time of the year. I don't know, is it just me, but I seem to be hearing the cats at it killing each other in the middle of the night as well.
Yeah, they'd be in heat.
And the males and toms are floating around as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Here's another one. This is from Jim. Jim was on to us, and Jim Ryan, hello to you, Jim. He discovered his dog drinking out of a bucket of really gross, horribly greeny, slimy water last night. He was throwing up and for the last couple of days. Now, he seems to have calmed down a little bit. Can you advise me a little bit more? What should I do? Or will I just continue to monitor him? Or should I be trying to rehydrate him? He looks a little bit down on the dumps, but not ridiculously sick.
Well, change the water, clean the water, make sure he has access to fresh, clean water at all times. So get rid of that.
If the dog was thrown up, it's probably some parasites or something got into it.
He's sickened himself, possibly from contaminated water or some other type of environmental. Maybe he's been eating off the ground as well, scavenging. So you have to ask, is there vomiting? It's a dog vomiting. Does the dog have diarrhoea? If the dog has vomiting or diarrhoea, he needs to visit the vets. If he's not vomiting, no diarrhoea, what you could do is skip a meal, monitor for 24 hours. The first question a vet's going to ask is he vomiting? Does he have diarrhoea? And the next question is he still eating?
Okay.
So, you know, if there's no vomiting, no diarrhoea, and he's still eating, then you can monitor, but do fast him for half a day. And if there's any vomiting, any diarrhoea, you need to visit the vet.
Okay. Hi, Des. We have 2 golden Labradors, both young dogs. Both of them seem to be sneezing a lot. You said before that hay fever could be an issue this time of the year or something along those lines. Are we able to give them human? I know what they're going to say.
Human antihistamines.
Human antihistamines.
You can, but they don't work great because the dog's immune system is a bit different from ours. But people do find that,
I've seen that before,
Piriton helps a little bit sometimes. But that type of sneezing like that and maybe runny eyes and runny noses, that's just literally a little bit of pollen allergy.
Yeah, but you'd find if you see people walking dogs along canal banks or walking them in the fields or whatever the case may be, they're smelling and sniffing everything.
They are.
So the chances are they're sniffing the flowers as well or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And are dogs a little bit like humans? Are they reactive to the likes of different types of allergies? Like, could it be flowers? Could it be hay? Could it be grass? Could it be or is it more general?
Yeah, they can be a bit different. They react differently. Some would be allergic to a field of rapeseed behind the house, and others wouldn't be. And some would be allergic to a hayfield or a cornfield behind the house, and others wouldn't be.
Right.
And walking along canal banks like that, whenever there's a high pollen count, most dogs will be affected a little bit.
Okay.
It's passing, it's transient, it's harmless enough.
Okay. Brilliant stuff it is.
Yeah.
Okay, great way to finish up. Well done on the old trip away last week. Fair dues to you on that one. We're looking forward to podcasting this a little bit later on this afternoon, so you can check it out on kfmradio.com. Go into the on-air section, you'll find podcasts, and the episode will go up alongside all the other episodes as well. Des, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, that's great, John. See you next week.
Cheers, bye.
It's a pet's life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.